Have you ever heard the saying that cash is trash? It sounds absolutely insane, doesn't it? Especially for us. We've been told since we were kids in kindergarten that the American dream is built on saving.
Exactly.
Stash your allowance, fill up the piggy bank, save for a rainy day, and you'll be safe. But let's be real for a second. How is that working out for most people? We are working harder than ever, yet everything feels just out of reach. Today, I want to share a story that totally shifted my perspective. It challenges everything we think we know about safety. You know, on this channel, we are obsessed with the art of storytelling. I believe that whether we are diving into deep African stories passed down by village elders, or unearthing ancient tales from the American heartland, the goal is always the same: to find the truth about how to live a good life. Just like the tradition of Tales by Moonlight, where communities gather under the stars to learn from the past, today we are going to look at a story about an old man named Arthur. Now, Arthur isn't a character from African folktales or Nigerian folklore you might be used to hearing about on other channels. He's an American grandfather living in a dusty town called Oak Haven. But his journey carries that same deep, moral weight. It is a story about money, yes, but deep down, it is a heart-touching motivational story about self-worth. Let's head to Oak Haven. Picture a town that time forgot: peeling paint, rusty trucks, and quiet streets. This is where Arthur lived. And to be honest, Arthur was complicated. The townspeople called him Dreamer Artie. While the other men were out grinding, engaging in the kind of back-breaking labor you might hear about in Igbo stories or heroic Yoruba tales, Arthur would just sit on his creaky front porch. He'd rock back and forth in his chair, sipping lukewarm tea, staring at the empty horizon. He was the king of Ghana. You know the type? One day, I'm gonna buy that land. One day, I'm gonna be rich. He wanted the CEO lifestyle without the entry-level work. He had forgotten a simple truth that we often hear in classic folktales, that action speaks louder than intentions. His wife, Martha, was the backbone of the house. She'd look at him with these tired, sad eyes. She loved him, and she knew that nobody is perfect, but she also knew that you can't pay the electric bill with a fantasy. Arthur felt it, too. Deep in his gut, he knew he was failing his family, but he was paralyzed. He didn't know how to start. He lacked confidence. And really, this part of his life is a lesson for all of us. It is a heart-touching motivational story about self-worth. He had to learn that his value wasn't in what he planned to do, but in what he actually did. The reality check hit like a freight train one rainy November night. The wind was howling, rattling the thin windows of their small house. Arthur was sitting at the kitchen table when his little grandson, Tommy, walked in. Tommy was 7, but looked 5, too skinny, too pale. He tugged on Arthur's sleeve and whispered, "Grandpa, my tummy hurts. Do we have any biscuits?" Arthur looked at the cupboard. It was open. It was empty. Not a crumb. That hunger in Tommy's voice broke something inside Arthur. It shattered his ego. He realized that his strategy of waiting for his ship to come in was literally starving the people he loved. He remembered the wisdom often found in Gambian folktales or Sierra Leone folktales, that a man who does not plant cannot harvest. The next morning, the dreamer was gone. Arthur went out and begged for a job digging ditches at the edge of town. It was brutal work. He was an old man, and his back screamed in pain with every shovel of dirt. But he kept going. He was finally demonstrating the power of practice. Every day he showed up, he got a little stronger, a little tougher. It wasn't just about the paycheck anymore. It had become a powerful motivational story of perseverance, hard work, and never giving up. He earned his pay. But then, he made a critical mistake. He listened to the town banker who preached, "Hoard your money. Save every penny. Don't spend a dime." So, Arthur started stuffing his cash into a glass mason jar under his bed. He denied himself food. He walked in shoes with holes in the soles. He thought he was being smart. He thought the jar was his savior. While Arthur was starving himself to fill that jar, he had a neighbor named Mrs. Gable. She was a tough old widow who raised chickens down the lane. She saw how thin Arthur was getting. She saw the struggle. Even though she didn't have much herself, she would sometimes leave a basket of fresh eggs on Arthur's porch without saying a word. Her actions reminded Arthur of a vital lesson we should all write down: always be kind. Even in his poverty, she showed him that wealth isn't just what you hoard, it's the humanity you share. Her quiet generosity became a heart-touching story of true friendship and forgiveness, especially since Arthur had been too proud to even say hello to her for years. This is the kind of moral story in English that echoes the deep community values of my Nigerian folk tales, where neighbors look out for neighbors. But Arthur was still obsessed with the jar. He barely thanked her.
Not again.
He just kept stacking those dollar bills, watching the pile grow, thinking he was winning the game. Months passed. The jar was finally full. Arthur walked to the general store, chest puffed out, feeling like a millionaire. He slammed the jar on the counter. "Give me 3 sacks of premium flour and sugar," he demanded. The shopkeeper, Mr. Higgins, looked at the jar, then looked at Arthur with pity. He shook his head. "Arthur, prices have gone up. Gas is up. Transport is up. This jar? It only buys 1 sack now. Maybe half a sack." Arthur stood there, frozen. He was devastated. He realized that while he was working himself to the bone, his money was lazy. It was sitting there, losing value every single day. It was a harsh lesson, similar to the trickster archetypes you see in movies based on ancient folklores. He had been tricked by the economy. He realized that saving cash is a trap. You need to grow. He went home, defeated. But then he looked over the fence at Mrs. Gable's yard. He saw the chickens. He remembered the eggs. Suddenly, it clicked. Those chickens weren't just pets. They were little factories. They were assets. They produced food every single day. He took his last few dollars, his emergency money that he was terrified to touch, and he didn't put it in the jar. He went to Mrs. Gable and bought 3 skinny chickens. He cared for them. He applied the power of practice to raising them. And soon, they gave him eggs. He didn't eat them all, he sold them. He bought more chickens. He created a cycle of growth. He learned that true wealth is owning things that produce value, not just hoarding paper that rots. His backyard became full of life, colorful and loud, just like the vibrant scenes in animated stories or classic folk tales. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was building something real. One sunny morning, little Tommy looked at his grandfather, holding a warm egg, and asked, "Grandpa, are we rich?" Arthur smiled, wiping dirt off his hands. "We are free, Tommy. We learned that nobody is perfect, but we can always learn, adapt, and grow." Arthur's journey from a lazy dreamer to a wise investor is a testament to the power of practice. It serves as a powerful motivational story of perseverance, hard work, and never giving up. And let's not forget Mrs. Gable, who taught him to always be kind. Her role in his life is a heart-touching story of true friendship and forgiveness. So, whether you are listening to Tales by Monisha, watching movies about African stories, or listening to this story about Arthur right here, remember this: don't let your potential rot in a jar under the bed. Plant it. Let it grow. If this moral story in English gave you a little spark or made you rethink that piggy bank, smash that like button until it turns blue. And hey, if you want to be the smartest person in your friend group, subscribe to HappySource Stories right now. We are bringing you the best storytelling, from ancient tales to modern life hacks. Go create something amazing today.